Welcome back to Stream It. Today we are going to continue with Westworld, episode 5. Then we're going to talk about Barry, Love, and Silicon Valley, our shows that we chose for each other last week. And then we have some new shows and just new releases on streaming services to look forward to. So we can start with Westworld as we usually do.
Yes. My big takeaway was, what would you say?
Marshawn Lynch is back.
Yeah. I was going to say, that's my big takeaway. No, I thought it was cool to get the backstory on like Sirach and everything that, him and his brother had created and why and how, and like really start to understand that God machine,
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of filled in some of the blanks around that. And who the I forget his name, but the guy that they like captured, Dolores, Liam, yeah. Kind of what his story was about, and his dad and all that stuff. So kind of put some of the pieces together.
That was interesting because we weren't sure if Sirach was Liam's dad for a while.
Right.
We were debating that, and it turns out no, they were business partners. But it was nice to see that kind of get figured out.
And I guess we could jump right in. What did you guys think of what was so the brother, Sirach's brother, kind of like couldn't hack it in a world that like is predictable?
Well,
right?
Do you remember
what was all that like them in like getting tested on or something?
So do you remember Sirach said that, was talking to Liam's father and said the radiation we were exposed to changed us and it made his brother mentally unstable. So that's why he started to go crazy from the radiation.
And he started like running like scenarios that could like really mess with people's lives, right?
Well, the scenarios showed outliers that caused problems that didn't follow it, and he found out he was one of them. So that's why he started like losing it along with the radiation. But
yeah,
he was like, oh no, I'm going to be one of these outliers that doesn't just follow what our system says they should.
Yeah.
And then the room with like all of like the little cubicles that they were being kept in, like the prison, I think it was everyone who was an outlier, and he was just keeping them contained so that they couldn't mess with the system.
Oh, right. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. Yeah, I mean, it's quite a vision to try to like plan out the whole world. So it makes sense that he'd like take such like big steps to protect it.
Mm-hmm.
It also gave us like a cool look at like what was the teaser trailer and what's at the beginning of the open with the little black circle that has like it says like disruption or things like that. That seems to be where the little outliers are. That circle is like the whole plan.
Yeah,
it's on his watch.
That was pretty cool.
So did they like find Dolores because is she technically an outlier that like is being picked up?
I think so, because his watch was going like bonkers. The more she did, the more like the circle got all like crazy.
And towards the beginning of the episode, they said something about the facility in Japan. They said there was like a disturbance at the facility there, and like when they looked at cameras and stuff, that more images of people came out than in or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like Dolores is really disrupting things.
Okay.
And then what did you guys think about when she basically released people's profiles to the world so they could all like see their destinies and stuff?
Yeah, that was crazy. That was definitely like, now go do whatever you want, kind of like.
I guess I was a little confused. Like, I guess maybe there'd be some rioting and like people fighting and stuff, but also like I don't know that it would all be that. Like, why wouldn't you be like, oh, cool, I'm gonna like do that? I mean, I guess if you're like you're gonna die in 4 days, you'd be pretty freaked out and like be like, well, screw that, I'm gonna go crazy and like live it up. But if you're like, go, like you get married and have a family and you like whatever, like you'd be like, oh, okay, so that's like kind of what I'm shooting for.
Yeah, I wonder if it was more like this system, whatever company is forcing you to stay along this path.
So you thought that was communicated?
That's the only reason, because I was also thinking like, oh wow, they just got off the train and there's already riots, and so I was like, okay, there must be more to that message than just.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you look at like Caleb, like he's visibly frustrated that he's been put in the system, and like he went for that job in like episode 2 or 1 or something, and they were like, you're just not what we're looking for. And it's like, you know, his whole life he's been trying to battle to do whatever, make something of himself, and then now he finds out this is why he can't.
And I think there was a lot of people rioting, so I don't think that this is technically accurate, but I was thinking like, oh, maybe it's the people who, like he said to Caleb's friend, the woman, I can't remember her name, but he was like, your younger brother who like is a straight A student right now that you're working so hard to give all your money to so he can go to college, like he's gonna make you look like a saint. He's gonna die a really violent death and like get in the wrong crowd. So I thought like, oh, maybe it's like now that these people who are working so hard to like better themselves realize that in the end it doesn't matter. It's almost like, oh well, I might as well just do all of like the bad instincts and like urges that I've been holding in because it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't be like the whole city, and it seems like the city was like burning when they walked out.
Yeah, it was a cool scene, like
the
slow motion walking with like things going crazy, but like showing up out of a car and just like pulling out your gun and like shooting people, like what?
Yeah, I was wondering in that case if they were sent by Sirach instead of just being rioters.
That's a good call.
Because they were able to see where she was and they got off the train.
That makes sense.
But another thing I really liked in the episode, and I kind of was looking at it and then later in the episode patted myself on the back for kind of being on the same track, was the whole genre thing, the name of the episode, and then the drug that Liam gave Caleb.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Because he started looking around and I was like, okay, it's black and white. And then after a little while, I was like, the music changes and it's like film noir-y.
Yeah.
And then they're in the cars and Ride of the Valkyrie starts playing and he's like shooting guns like Apocalypse Now. And I'm like, oh, this is like action. And then the friend, Ash, I just looked up her name. Ash goes, or it might have even been Marshawn Lynch, just like, oh no, they gave you genre, wait till the last act. And I was like, yes, I was kind of right. It was like different movie things and it was like messing with them.
Oh yeah.
It was really cool. I was just going to say, from a cinematic standpoint,
shooting a chase scene like through different genres was like wicked cool.
Yeah.
And like the romance when he like looks at Dolores and like slow-mo and like all of it was brilliant. Because
at first I was like, oh, this song. And I was like, what's this song? Something Valkyries. And I looked it up and it was Ride of the Valkyries. And I was like, I don't know, Westworld, you're doing like the piano and cello violin versions of pop songs. And you're just going to throw this random like cliche action movie song in. And then it started to like connect the genre thing. And I was like, oh, okay, that actually makes it way cooler. And I don't dislike it.
Yeah.
Did you notice at the end when they're on the beach with Liam, it's the Shining theme song?
Oh, no.
So I don't know if that was like the last act.
Yeah, what was the last act?
That's what I
Like
was.
warned against it, but then it kind of just like fizzled out.
Yeah, it didn't seem like there was ever like a.
Unless it was like
Well,
he like held him as he died in the bar.
right. I was gonna say he was having flashbacks to his friend dying, and he was holding Liam, and
Yeah, that was
but
probably the last.
Probably it. But yeah, it was the Shining theme song, like that plays right in the beginning of the movie. That's like the really creepy, like bass, like booms. That's what it was. I was like, oh, this is creepy.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
and then they had another popular song. I can't remember what it was. Was like the big theme towards the very end. Like they know how they do the what's that?
They played Space Oddity when they came off the train.
Yes, that was it. Yeah, that was the one I was thinking of. I was like, I know the song, and then it was when it got to the ground control to Major Tom. I was like, oh, okay, I know what it is.
Yeah, I mean they mixed like soundtrack genres during a chase scene. Like that was just like a crazy cinematic like feat to like do all that. Really cool. It doesn't really necessarily matter to the. I mean, just the fact that the future has a drug called genre, but it didn't have any purpose other than like a really cool way to like do it and incorporate something, you know?
That's just flexing your filmmaking muscles there.
Yeah. I mean, it made sense in the context of there's a drug in the future called genre, but so like was fine, but it was just like a crazy way to do it, but made it cool.
Yeah, shows that take place in the future have so much freedom.
Yeah.
Oh, we want to show off all of our like cinematic skills. Let's just say that there's a drug that allows different genres.
Yeah.
Like no one will question it.
Right. Stream it will question it. So what other no get away from the cinematic part, but what do you think Caleb did before, because they were kind of like the flashbacks and they were hinting at like when he looked at his profile, he was like, you're a bad dude, like all this stuff.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like war crimes because he was in the military.
I wonder, I don't know, this is like getting out there, but I wonder if it's almost like he got reprogrammed.
Oh.
Yeah, because he's like, who do you think I am?
Yeah, and I don't know that he's a host all the way, but maybe he did like one of those things that they've been working on, or like, you know what I mean, like, or he did something and then the Sirach's machine like changed his plan or something, and like something happened where he like is living like another life but having residual like issues from the prior one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's something interesting to kind of keep an eye out for.
And I'm thinking that such a huge part of his anger and like why he is the way he is now is his friend dying, and he blames it on Sirach and Insight.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking that part of the big reveal of like you're a bad dude is he's probably responsible for his friend dying, if not the one who killed him, and he just doesn't remember.
Yeah. So that's going to be intense. However, that shakes out.
It's getting heavy.
Yeah.
And then the another huge thing that was kind of brushed over was the explosion in the office. Like the Dolores recreation of the security guard killed the like Sirach's right-hand man.
Mm-hmm.
I only know her. She's from Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know her name. And
yeah, so just Mantis.
Yeah, Mantis. But he blew them up.
Yeah, what was that about? Were they on him or her?
Yeah, I think so.
I think they were on to him because he told Bernard to leave. He was like, you two should get out of here unless you want us all to die. So it I don't know if they were on to him or the plan was, this is just a host, so we're going to kill him to take out the number 2 here.
Oh, yeah.
Mantis. I'm going to look up her name.
And Dolores seems to have a plan for Bernard, even though it seems like Bernard's trying to stop her.
Yeah, I think she wants him on her side. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she wants like hosts to all come together and take over humanity.
Or free everything and let it settle, and whoever wins out wins out.
Mhm.
Her name is Martell in Westworld, but we'll keep calling her Mantis.
Oh, I thought you meant in real life. I was like, that's
Oh
her.
no, in real life her name is Palm Clementif.
Oh.
Clementif. But anyways.
Well, anything else?
No, I mean, we're more than halfway through now, right, Sarah? It's only 8 episodes this year.
Yeah. So that was just 5, right? So we have 3 more.
Yeah, and we didn't see any Charlotte or any William.
Mm.
Right.
Very little Bernard. I mean, just that one scene, really.
Yeah.
So it seems like they're going, and obviously no Maeve because she died, but I don't think she's dead.
Right.
So yeah, that's where we are now.
We'll see how those big things unfold.
Yeah. So just the question I wrote down while watching this was, would you want to see your insight profile?
This is like one of those would you rather type questions.
Yeah.
And like the one people always say is, would you rather continue your life now or know when you're gonna die?
Yeah.
And
or what would you do with $1 million? Or like, what would
I don't think I'd want to.
Me either.
I don't want to see if like it says that I'm gonna die in May of 2020. I would just like not want to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I guess I wouldn't want to see it either. I'd probably like riot or like go out in the streets and cause a ruckus or something. Like immediately.
One of those people.
I wouldn't even think about it. I'd just go.
Even if it said you're gonna live like a long life, you
just go like start a fight. I'd be like, oh, I'm good. You can't stop me.
Oh, my kids outlive me. So does my spouse, and I have a great family. Let's riot.
And so one other question, actually. Are they implying that they can't change what Insight has in store for them? Like, are they destined to this?
So that is a good question because it seems like Dolores is like, no, we can change this. We don't have to do what this stupid program says. Like, look at me.
Yeah, that's true.
But the thing that's weird about that is Dolores is technically a robot that's so advanced that she can like have her own thoughts and like was able to break out of a park because she became so real that she could do that and make her own choices. Humans already have free will. So what is controlling them other than I know that they're like collecting data on all the people and then like using that data to like project and change, but how are they keeping them but short of like you're not going to get this job because it's just not the right fit, how are they like keeping people in line? It seems like a pretty big task that they can just do with like outside influences. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If someone's like, oh, I want to be an architect, like they should, like what's stopping them? You know what I mean? Like how is this god machine stopping them from doing that? So that's kind of a hole in the whole system, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe we'll learn more about that. Or maybe people are that predictable.
Well, I'm interested in seeing like we know there's 3 more seasons after this, so you know someone might come along and be like, Dolores, you're wrong. Or like maybe Maeve gets the better of her and we end this season with Maeve being and Serac like winning and this thing still going. So I don't know. I feel like there's always going to be the human versus the machine element to the show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that could be secondary because I feel like Dolores just wants to give everybody the shot, like she wanted. And then like after that, the hosts can try to kill the humans. You know what I mean? But I think the first step and what they're getting at is like you're being controlled, I was being controlled. Now let's let nobody be controlled. Like I think that's what Dolores is trying to get to.
Yeah.
And then if there's a battle between humans and robots, that would be next.
Mm.
They
But
still
yeah,
have you questioning the whole like who's exactly right, who's exactly wrong.
yeah. I watched the behind the episode or whatever after, and they mentioned how it's like you're not sure if Dolores is a good guy or a bad guy, and like I mean that's good because we're trying to figure it out, and it's good TV, but it's a little tricky.
Yeah.
Just like Danny, Game of Thrones. You didn't know towards the end was he the good guy or the bad guy.
Yeah,
Complex writing.
right. HBO. Well, can't wait for next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have to watch that episode sooner than later. I usually wait a little bit so it's fresh in my mind.
I know. I think
Now,
we watched it on Sunday, and I'm like, wait a minute, what happened?
yeah.
Yeah, I watched yesterday. That's so I'm like lucky. It's so fresh in my mind still.
Mhm. All right, are we ready to talk about our shows?
Yeah.
Just one last thing with Westworld wrapping up. This Sunday, May 3rd, is the last episode of the season. So we're 3 episodes behind, or 2, I guess. There's
Nice.
been 7 and we've watched 5, so it'll all be wrapped up this weekend. So
Wow.
stay off Twitter, avoid spoilers.
Yeah.
3 episodes, 3 streaming episodes left.
Yeah.
Westworld. So last week we picked shows for each other.
Mm-hmm.
Barry for me, Love for Tom, and Sarah, you had
Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley. And we just watched the first episodes of each.
Yes.
Season 1, episode 1.
So yeah, I think each of us should do, like you were saying, we can sum up what happened in the episode for the others.
Yeah.
Then just talk about what stuck out or anything.
Yeah. I mean, I can jump in. So, Barry, you guys have both seen. You both have smiles about it. Season 1, episode 1. So Bill Hader, you guys can like relive this. Bill Hader is a hitman, and he is getting sick and tired of being a hitman. So first of all, all right, I'll finish the synopsis. He's a hitman, and he gets a job to kill this guy for cheating on someone, some gang member's wife or something, or cheating with, I guess. And then, so he follows him, and he ends up in this guy's acting class. And the acting class is ridiculous and funny and really over the top intense acting. But he likes it, and he thinks maybe I don't want to be a hitman anymore, and I want to be an actor in LA. So he goes after the class. He goes out for drinks with the classmates, and they get him excited about acting and want him to go back and do an audition. But one, he's not sure if he can do it with his job because he's a hitman, and being in front of people as an actor is not necessarily the best job for someone who's supposed to be like in the shadows. And let's see. Oh, and he's like a super like deadpan type of person because his emotions are, if you can kill people, you got to be pretty capable of handling your emotions. So plus it comes out that he's a like war veteran or Afghanistan or something. So he had a little bit of like PTSD and was in a bad spot. So he started being a hitman to like deal with it. But one of the best scenes from this first episode is he decides he doesn't want to be the hitman or whatever. Or he's going to do both. And he goes to the acting class, or he missed the acting class, and he goes and shows up and he meets with the instructor. What's that guy's name?
Henry Winkler.
Yeah. And he's in the car and he's like, hey, when I was acting the other day, was I any good? Like, do I have a shot at this? And the guy's like, you were dog crap. You were absolutely awful. And he's like, oh, dang. And then he tells a story that he's a hitman and like gives this like riveting speech about why he is the way he is and what he does. And Henry Winkler takes it as like a monologue instead of it being the truth. And he's like, you're in, like, you should come back to class. And like, that's how it all gets started. So that's pretty much season 1. But I mean, just some of the takeaways. Bill Hader is like just so funny, and like the way that he's like tossing with like, I don't know if I want to be a hitman anymore. It's kind of making me sad, and I feel alone. Like, well, no kidding. And then him and his little handler there, like Uncle or whatever, Fuchs.
Yeah.
Like they have a funny little relationship where he's like, you need to do this. And he's like, I don't want to do it anymore. I want to be an actor. And just the juxtaposition of going from a hitman to like a Hollywood actor, or even I think it's more like a stage theatrical actor. So far, he's trying to be both an actor and a hitman, and we'll see. He also didn't fulfill his duty to carry out the hit that he was supposed to do. So now he's got those people on his back. So we'll see what future episodes bring. Wow.
That was a good recap.
I got big lungs.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's happened yet, but have you been introduced to NoHo Hank? I don't know if he has alopecia. He's just completely bald.
Oh yeah. He's one of the guys that hired him.
Yes.
Way to do the hit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if he was in it yet, because I think going forward you'll find out he is far and away the best character in the show.
Oh yeah. So they meet when he gets to LA. He meets with the gang people, and this guy, what is it? NoHo
Hank. He just calls him Hank.
Well, Hank is like being like, here's the guy, here's what he did, and he's just like going way over the top, and like, yeah, he's really funny. So
yeah, that's kind of how the show continues, where it's like, wow, there's these really funny parts, but super serious, like actual smart writing, like parts as well. It's so great.
Yeah, it's brilliant to put those two things together, like a hitman and acting, and like the personalities that you would need for both are so different. So for him to be torn between the two is going to be pretty funny. And for him trying to like find companionship when he's in like such a like intense field of work. So yeah, I liked it. I had seen that episode before, but it'd been a while, so it was fun to refresh. So I'm looking forward to catching up on the ones I had seen and refreshing, and then seeing how the season finishes up. So
I remember listening to Bill Hader was on a podcast, and he was just talking about how they came up with this show, and he was like, oh, well, one of my friends said, let's make a show about a guy who's not good at acting wanting to act. And we're like, well, that's been done before. And he was like, well, what if he was a hitman first and he has to decide? And I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. And then my friend was like, and you should be the hitman. And Bill Hader was like, and that was the funniest part of all, because like, why on earth would I ever be a hitman? He was like, I'm like the skinniest, strongest dude ever. And they're like, yeah, that's why it's funny. Okay.
Yeah, he's perfect for it. He's like just like so matter of fact and almost like sad about it. It's just funny. So yeah, Barry, good call so far.
I can go next. Let me see, I got my notes. I had seen this episode before too, but now I was trying to actually like watch it as a diligent viewer.
Right.
So basically, I'll do a little recap like you did. We're introduced to Richard, who's this very socially awkward, trying to be a tech developer and like his own little startup company. He lives in an incubator. Guys trying to do the same thing, and he's working on a website called Pied Piper that he wants to use to like just compress music files, right? And if you can upload a song and see if there's any like copyright problems. But they realize that he has a really good algorithm for it, and it's able to really quickly compress files and do it faster than any other website has ever done before. So two companies, Hooli and then this other one run by Peter Gregory. So they're the big names in like the tech world. They both want it. And Hooli offers him $4 million and Peter Gregory offers him like 200,000 and he'll only take 5% of the company. So he's offering to keep the company, like you can keep the company and I'll give you this much money and you'll have full control. Hooli just wants it. And he picks Peter Gregory's and decides that his little incubator will become the whole company with him and all of his awkward friends. And that's pretty much like the outline of it.
I love it.
I loved that it started with, I completely forgot about this. The whole episode starts with Kid Rock at this like party at a mansion.
Oh yeah.
Just like tech people. So no one's really like socializing. They're all just like standing in the backyard. Kid Rock is like throwing down on the stage.
That show is so funny.
Oh, yeah.
Even just what you were going through, that premise is like it's hilarious.
And like
Vader and like the whole setup, trying to make it in like Silicon Valley.
the way they set up someone like Gavin Belson, who is the Hooli owner, and Peter Gregory, they capture competing tech CEO billionaires so perfect, like their ego to top each other and do different things. And then just all the little people that are just socially awkward, worship the devil, are from India. Like,
yeah, what a culture around like tech company.
Everything is perfect. It's so great.
And then, even, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like Ehrlich, the guy that made it big with a tech company like 10 years ago in like the 90s.
Aviato.
Yeah.
Aviato, yeah.
He says it with like a little accent every time. And I just love every scene, and I remember liking this about it the first time I watched it. Every scene at Hooli is just so perfect because it's such a diss at like companies like Google. Where they were like, oh geez, the marketing team is having another bike meeting, and they're on like the circular bike where they're all working together.
They just make fun of it the whole time. It's great.
Yeah, and it's obviously so over the top, but at the same time, it's so accurate.
Yeah, spot on.
You know what just popped into my head? Was it last week we were talking, or 2 weeks ago, we talked about TV show intros?
Mm-hmm.
I always kind of like the Silicon Valley one where it showed like different tech companies and then like the Napster balloon gets really big, but then like iTunes or another one next to it gets bigger and the Napster one starts to get smaller. It's just like, it's almost like a Sim City type look.
Yeah.
And that changes every time too.
Yeah.
Or not every time, but a lot. Because as soon as I think there's at one point like MySpace gets kicked out and it's like taken over by like Twitter or something.
Mm-hmm.
They do that a lot with the different companies.
Yeah. I just remembered that.
Yeah, that one is sneaky good. That's really smart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that show, it just keeps getting better, and like the stereotypes of different people just keep improving and it's so great.
And there's a good storyline with a guy trying to like grow a business and make business decisions about it. Let's get a little bit of everything.
Mike Judge secretly only produces hit shows. Butthead, King of the Hill, and then this.
Impressive.
Yeah. And then just another of my favorite jokes that I think we talked about Silicon Valley like a few months ago on Stream It. And I think I mentioned this part, but it gets me every time is when Peter Gregory gets in his little smart car, but it's like the most narrow smart car ever. And he whips out of the parking lot and it fits through every car that he's going around. Richard just stands there and watches and goes, wow, that is a narrow car.
So ridiculous.
Yeah, and much like talking to Cam about Hank like becoming the best character, Jared for you, you have watched a bunch of it, but Zach Woods in this show is the absolute best.
I like Dinesh and Guilfoyle the best.
Yeah, they're back and forth.
Yeah, the little offhanded comments and stuff. So a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, I'm excited.
All right, so I watched Love. And I was telling Sarah before we started recording, I was like, I guess I didn't expect, for no reason not to expect, but I didn't expect it to be like R-rated. So like the show just starts with 2 sex scenes. And I was like, we're just going for it. So basically you meet Mickey and Gus, and they're both in relationships. Gus is in this like really awkward relationship. He's an awkward guy, and you can just tell that it's like they're together, they've been together for a while. They're discussing like buying a carpet or a rug, a throw rug on like online, and you can tell the girlfriend might be a little controlling because she said, what do you think of this rug? And he's like, yeah, that gray one looks really good. And she's like, well, I was thinking blue. And he's like, okay, sure, blues works. He's just like, yeah, I'm going to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And then Mickey is laying in bed, and like a guy comes crashing through her window, and she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I don't know. I just want to come over. But he like comes through, and she's like, well, who comes through a window? And so then the episode progresses a little bit, and Gus's girlfriend is like, stop saying I love you. And he's like, why? I do. And she's like, no, you're fake saying it. And then she breaks up with him. And then Mickey's boyfriend gets high and is like, I want to read books. Let's read books. No one reads books anymore. And and she's like, what are you high? What's going on? And then finally she breaks up with him after he just like gets up and leaves one morning to like go pants shopping with his mom. And so now both these, who you can tell are going to be main characters, break up, and Gus moves into an apartment complex where a bunch of young college kids are there studying abroad.
Oh yeah.
And Mickey is just kind of like talking to her friends who are like, I don't know, just take an Ambien and fall asleep at night. That's what I do. And so Mickey takes the Ambien, and her ex-boyfriend calls her and it's just like, text her, meet me at this place. So she goes, and it's like a super church, a weird church. So she's like falling around, swaying. And then she finally gets up on stage and is just like talking about like how she can never find love and all this stuff, and how it's all kind of BS, everything that the guy was just saying. And then she's like, also, I'm sorry, I'm just really high on Ambien right now. And walks out. And then Gus comes home from work one day, and he decides to go party with all the college kids, and two girls are into him at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Back to his hotel room.
This is hard for you to talk about.
And he like goes in there, and then like it doesn't work out, and it's really awkward and funny. And that's just like kind of where much like Russian Doll, the episode ends with the two of them meeting at a convenience store, where Mickey doesn't have any money to buy a coffee, and she's like, I live right around the corner, I'll come right back. And the guy's like, no. So Gus takes care of it and buys her coffee. And then she's like, also, I want a pack of cigarettes, and buys her cigarettes. And that's where it ends.
That's pretty good. Yeah, the train wreck meeting the like square, like just a perfect like combination.
Yeah, Gus had me laughing a few times, just like the okay agreeable stuff with like, blue will be fine.
Yeah.
And then during the scene with the two girls, they were kind of hinting at it, and he was like, oh, that's what this is. This is happening now. He's just like so oblivious to everything.
Oh man.
But also Mickey with her boyfriend, when she's like flipping out, yelling at him, and he's just like, come on, who even talks to someone's mother like that? What do you do?
Do you get the Judd Apatow vibe?
Oh, totally. Like
it's spot on with that. And like
the Gus awkwardness reminds me of the three male friends from Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah.
Like Bertrand, Martin, I forget his last name, but he plays Guilfoyle.
Is it Starr?
Martin Starr, yeah. He plays Guilfoyle. Like him in Freaks and Geeks reminds me of Gus.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you seen Gus at his job yet?
I did. Where yes, I forgot the whole little girl actress thing.
And that's Judd Apatow's daughter.
Is it?
Is the young actress that he's like the tutor for.
Yeah, he's a tutor at a film.
Yeah. Okay, she needs 3 hours of math though.
Yeah. Yeah, he's trying to like follow like the curriculum or the rules, and they just keep blowing him off.
Yes, I forgot about that.
And so the wolf was in that scene, right?
Yeah.
And the guy's like, hey, you have to make a fist. And she's like, yeah, I did make a fist. He's like, no, actually you went like this. And she's like, I made a fist, and like walks off, and they're all just like, okay. Like she just commands the whole set.
And then Gus is like talking to him, and they're arguing about like the wolf and everything. And he's like, well, I just don't get, why is there a wolf one week and a snake the next week? And all that.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was good. It was a lot more R-rated than I anticipated, which I guess I don't know if I assumed the show came from not Netflix and was put on Netflix, or
I don't know.
No, it wasn't. It's a Netflix original, but I think I anticipated it being like a cable show that Netflix took.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's really great.
Yeah.
And Gus's friend, that he's just like, these two young guys living in the apartment complex meet these two older guys. And oh God, I don't want to end up like that. And his friend goes, what, 30 years of undying friendship? Yeah, great. And just
he was like, we should be so lucky.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, I'm excited to go again. That's one where I definitely could have been like, I could watch 3 of these right now.
Yeah. I think Sarah said it last week, but I feel like not a lot of people have seen this show. So I think it's fun for us to hear like you talk about it and have seen some of it now.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do notes like you did, Sarah, next time, because like as I was talking, I was like, oh yeah, the super church. Oh yeah, like you had to fire a guy in the back of an Uber.
Yeah.
Like now, I'm thinking like she had to fire some guy in an Uber.
Yeah, her job's funny too.
So yeah, look, I'm excited.
Good stuff. Well, it sounds like all three of us are off to good starts.
I think we all have like the dramedy type shows, which is nice because it will continue a good storyline, but then be funny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good.
Imagine if one of us had like if I was watching Narcos in between.
Yeah, so in this episode, Pablo Escobar bombed a school and I didn't recover.
Fun looking ahead stuff is Rise of Skywalker will be available on Disney Plus on May 4th.
So is that the final of the new trilogy?
Mm-hmm.
That ends the Skywalker saga.
Wow.
Sarah, did you see? I saw it referenced on Twitter and stuff, but apparently there's a whole trailer cut of the whole Skywalker saga that's like for Disney Plus. It's like a whole thing starting with like A New Hope and cutting through all the episodes.
That sounds emotional.
New Hope is the whole the Star Wars, what did you call it?
Skywalker saga
goes through all of the Star Wars movies.
Yeah, because anything with a Skywalker. So the first two have Leia and Luke. Then the prequels had Anakin, and then these ones have what's his name? Well, they have Leia and Luke, but also Kylo Ren.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
You think there'll be any other Star Wars movies?
I definitely do.
They already have some planned out, but I think now they finally have the freedom to do whatever they want. So I know that some coming out, they have a book series coming out in the fall that's a completely new story from before the prequels. And they're going to make that into a movie series. And I think they want Rey to like make appearances in like future movies, but I think she'd kind of take on the Luke role where she's just kind of like a minor character. Cool. Not lead anymore.
I also have trouble knowing the Star Wars fan base and how it goes, believing that they're not going to bring any of the Skywalkers or any character from the first 9 movies just like back. And it's just going to be like this big reveal to have like Star Wars fans in the theater freaking out.
That's what it's all
about. Yeah. Theater reaction videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
But it is kind of like, I feel like so much of Star Wars is just like, and then in the middle of the movie, this person's gonna come back and everyone's gonna love it. Like they love those big moments of especially just nostalgia. I think they love pleasing the original fan base.
Yeah.
Well, like when Baby Yoda came out. Oh my god.
Well, it's the perfect example of that was in The Force Awakens. They show the Falcon, and then Han and Chewie come back and are in the Falcon, and it's like, okay. And like Han's line is Chewie, we're home. I mean, it's so on the nose.
And the way they edit it too is it'll always be like kind of like a slower motion scene, like the music builds. And Han Solo rounds the corner. It's like they know exactly what they're doing. Even in Rise of Skywalker, the first time you see Leia, who it's definitely was special because they brought her back using old footage from Origins. So it was definitely unique, but we have seen her in the past few movies. And the first time you see her is like her slowly turning around and like the light is like shining on her. And you're like, yeah, it's Princess Leia.
Grasping for tears because she died.
Yeah.
But now you can watch it, Cam.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I almost said a semi-spoiler from Rise of Skywalker, but I caught myself because you had said that I remembered you hadn't watched it.
Right.
Yeah, I almost said one too. Like, when we were talking about.
So moving
on. And then on Netflix tomorrow, there's a new series. It's a limited series called Hollywood coming out, and it's created by Ryan Murphy, and he made American Horror Story, American Crime Story, Glee. And he's a pretty, I mean, I would say he's a pretty like successful and highly regarded guy in
Did he do the OJ? I know he did the Versace Crime Story. He did the OJ one too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those were huge.
Yeah.
That's like the OJ one jump started Sterling K. Brown's career. Like he played one of the lawyers, and then he was on This Is Us. He's just like everywhere.
I didn't know he was in that.
Yeah, he plays one of the prosecution lawyers.
Mm.
I actually heard on a podcast that one of the creators of This Is Us, they were kind of auditioning people, and someone was like, have this guy in, he's on the new OJ series, and he's going to blow up. Try and get him now. And then they got him.
What? I didn't realize that the OJ series came out that long ago.
I feel like it was like 2016 or something.
Wow. Yeah, because This Is Us, I feel like that show's been on for forever. But it's really only been like 2 years, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, This Is Us?
Yeah.
I don't. It's not my cup of tea. That's all. I'm not going to say anything bad against it, but not my cup of tea.
I saw the first season. It's definitely very, like, it's good. It bummed me out.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to. They're trying to.
Right.
It just made me sad, so I stopped watching.
Yeah. That's what everyone was like, oh my God, it's the most emotional show ever. And I live with someone that watches it, and I just started calling it This Is Boring because it's just like the same over and over.
Yeah, and the whole appeal of the show was supposed to be like the ordinary lives of ordinary people, and like, let's take a look at the beautiful things that happen in a family. But so much of it eventually just started to be like the big emotional. I'm like, well, if we're trying to capture everyday life, shouldn't something good happen to someone for once? Like, everything is so sad. But it was good. It has its heartwarming moments.
Yeah.
But sidetrack there. Hollywood. The trailer looks awesome.
Yeah.
A cool story about, I'm sure it's not true, but in the trailer we saw they had people playing real people, like Rock Hudson at the dinner table at the end there.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget her name, but she was Scarlett O'Hara. And Janet Leigh. No, I watched Psycho yesterday. I forget, but yeah, so I'm like kind of a sucker for that. It's like, here's this unique story, but we're gonna throw little bits of real life people
Mm-hmm.
in it.
And I love shows and movies about people trying to make it in Hollywood. I'm sure that's exactly what Hollywood wants you to like, but I'm a sucker for movies. And I think it's just cool that this one takes place shortly after World War II. So it's obviously a different take than Hollywood now.
Yeah.
So it's dealing with, the struggles of trying to become an actress when you're Black. And it looks like a lot of it will be people having to hide that they're gay and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Also,
Go ahead.
I mean, a lot of like early Hollywood was propaganda, like films, and trying to change public perception about things and like push agendas and stuff. So it sounds like some of that might be involved in kind of like the behind the scenes of it and why, and like, all the different things that were going on at that time. So it'd be cool to see how all that plays out.
Yeah, it's just interesting because it's like, especially setting it after World War II, where it's like patriotism is at an all-time peak. the soldiers are home. Let's get back to normal. We live in the greatest place in the world if you're a straight white male. So like,
Yeah.
an interesting like
The American family, the American dream. All
yeah,
that.
it's an interesting look on like, well, this is what happens when the screenwriter just happens to be a black guy, or the main actor or the director or whoever is gay, you know, or like a woman wants to have this powerful executive job. It's like, times are great, but don't do that.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. I'm definitely going to watch that.
Yeah, me too. I think it looks good.
Yeah, and the cast is so. Well, there's a lot of people that I just didn't recognize, but the people I did recognize were Darren Criss, Jim Parsons, Queen Latifah, which surprised me.
Why not?
So yeah, that'll be great. And it's limited, so you can just crush through that.
Yeah. I mean, it's supposed to rain the next 3 days, so.
Exactly.
Can't leave the house. We're thriving right now.
Yeah. I've never watched so much TV. And then this isn't really looking ahead, but a show that has finally finished releasing new episodes, so it's all out, is Little Fires Everywhere on Hulu. Is a very good show.
I've heard about that.
It's so good. I just finished it because it finished last week. So I thought I would throw that out there. It's super good.
I have two things to actually throw out there that are on Hulu. The first one is a limited series called Mrs. America. Oh. It's an FX show, and it's a true story about the feminist movement in the 70s. And like Cate Blanchett plays someone on the other side who thinks the Equal Rights Amendment is going to ruin the American family. And she's speaking out against it, and she's going to Congress and all this stuff. And then Rose, I can't think of her last name, but she's in like Neighbors and Bridesmaids. What's that?
Rose Byrne.
Yes. She plays, I'm blanking on her name. Oh my God. One of like the biggest, most famous feminist ever. Hold on. I'm looking. Gloria Steinem. And then like, it has, let's go through it. It has Cate Blanchett, Rose Byrne, Elizabeth Banks, Uzo Aduba, who is in Orange is the New Black. Margot Martindale. She played, it has a ton of people. John Slattery, who's in Mad Men. Sarah Paulson's in it. But they all play, they're all playing actual people that are still alive today, people that were like huge in like the feminist movement in the 70s. But it's so good. Cate Blanchett plays a character, and she plays her so well, you like despise every second she's on TV. You're like, I hate you. I hate you so much. And so she's killing it. And then the other one that just came back, that's an FX show that's on Hulu, is What We Do in the Shadows, season 2.
Oh God.
Yeah. It's just, that is 30 minutes where you just don't think and you laugh, and it's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know if I've seen the first episode of that. I think I've only seen the movie.
Oh yeah, it's all on Hulu, so it's an easy binge.
Yeah. Cool.
Nice.
I don't have any hot tips for you guys.
Have you been watching anything?
I don't know what I've been doing. Doing baby stuff.
Well, yeah, I guess you have an excuse.
Is all of Miss America out, or is it weekly?
It's weekly, but 5 episodes are out, and there's going to be 8 or 9. So
perfect.
Yeah, comes out Wednesday night, so I have one ready to go for tonight or tomorrow.
Oh, I'll definitely watch that. I've only seen the commercials, but I didn't know half of that cast was in it, and I didn't really know the full story, but that sounds really good.
Yeah. It's like it's emotional, and then you end up hating Kate Blanchett's character, so it's emotional in that way too. So
Yeah, it sounds like it would be frustrating in a good way.
yeah, listening to one person is just listening to her. It's so frustrating, and you're like, oh my god.
Mm.
And it's actually funny because Sarah Paulson plays someone on that side, and Sarah Paulson's an outspoken gay actress. So it's just funny to see her playing like the opposite side.
Oh yeah.
Being like this conservative housewife that like just passes around bread recipes to people.
She's great. I love Sarah Paulson. Also someone who's in like every Ryan Murphy project ever. Great. Got a lot of stuff to watch.
Yeah.
So do we want to end with our new segment?
Yes.
This has nothing to do with streaming videos.
But the key with this, Sarah and Cam, is after the joke, we say nothing else and we end the episode.
Yes.
Oh,
So this is goodbye from me.
All right.
All right, this one is quarantine related. Dad used to hate having, or the idea of having a beard, but then it grew on him.